If you work in sales, lead a team, or own a business and see AI changing the way your business operates, this conversation is for you. The businesses that learn how to use AI strategically now will have a major advantage in how they sell, communicate, and grow over the next few years. Welcome to Biz Help for You, where passionate support and practical guidance help your business thrive. Today, we're talking about how AI is transforming sales and what business owners, sales leaders, and entrepreneurs need to understand in order to use it effectively. Joining me today is Greg Grant, founder of the AI Sales Leader and G Squared Advisors. In this conversation, we're discussing how AI is changing the sales process and what the future of sales may look like as technology continues to evolve. So, Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Candy. Good to be here. Great intro, too.
Oh, thank you. Well, I do want to talk about, obviously, AI. It is impacting all kinds of industries too, but you're specifically mentioning that it is affecting sales specifically. So I would love for you to talk about, well, how is it changing the sales?
Yeah, there's so many different ways right now that it's changing sales. And I think one of the things that's really impacting, I think the two biggest areas I'm seeing it right now would be with coaching. For sure, because a lot of times sales leaders are busy and they may have a lot of direct reports. And what they don't get to see or hear as much as they would like is how is their salespeople doing when they're actually having meetings? How are they doing a discovery meeting when they're prospecting? So you can use things like AI roleplay tools. I develop them for my teams all the time, where we'll set up a specific scenario. Salesperson does it. We'll set up a rubric after, so they can go ahead and say, do a cold call. And then it goes through an AI system where we can rank it. We can do a rubric to coach them. And then now the manager finally has some input as to what they're having. Role plays aren't really done much. It gives a salesperson a more comfortable place to practice. And they're never going to submit the recording with the bad situation. So they're going to practice until they get better, therefore reinforcing the behavior. Another area I really see that it's helping out is with research. A lot of the sales teams I work with will tell me, oh, it takes me 4 hours a week to do research on my clients before a discovery meeting or before a meeting, sending maybe that first LinkedIn message. Well, now I can put in the website and put it into a deep research prompt inside of your LLM of choice and come back in an hour. And I've got a 40-page dossier on every person who's there and their history and the whole thing. So those are two areas I'm seeing massive adoption that's really making a difference.
Well, I definitely would think where you're talking about that research would definitely be a time saver and help them even have the ability to interact longer with that customer, to get to know them better, even when they are having that meeting, to build that relationship, or maybe even have more potential prospects that they could interact with too. So I could see how that could be a huge improvement in the process.
Yeah, definitely.
So where do you see companies are making the biggest mistakes then when they're implementing AI into their sales process?
Doing the same things that I probably did 3 or 4 years ago is getting attracted to the cool, shiny tool. And there's a million of them these days. So I'm an electrical engineer by schooling, so I've always been into technology, and I've been into AI for a while. Last couple of years has obviously made a huge difference. But even for myself, I would say, oh man, I'd get on 2 or 3 AI newsletters for sales and go, wow, that's a great, every time they have a cool thing. Oh, that's cool. I'd bookmark it. And that's a cool one. And then I ended up with a folder with about 150 bookmarks of sites that I never got to, was never going to go to. And then I had this light bulb that went off. And the thing that changed it for me, and I teach my clients this, is don't do that. Look at what's the solution. What are the biggest 2 or 3 things that are a pain in your butt in your business, especially things that you're doing on a repetitive basis. Let's look at those things and then either create it or find out if there's a commercially available tool that we can use. So what a lot of companies, so I think the stats, I kind of joke around and say like 64.7% of statistics are made up. But the research that I found was that like over 70% of sales organizations have a mantra from the top to have an AI sales strategy, but under 20% really haven't. I've never went into a client and said, oh yeah, here's my AI governance policy and here's my 40-page document of how we're going to roll it out. So rushing in. The other thing is picking your AI solutions is not an IT decision. And some of my clients say, oh, IT's got it. IT doesn't understand what you're going to need to do to analyze your P&L and do your 5 and 10-year business plan and all the cool things you're going to do with AI. They, in most cases, don't have the business acumen and are not in the mind of a CEO or a CRO or VP of sales the way they want to think strategically about their business.
That's a good point, because I think a lot of times we do think, oh, well, we're looking for software or, technology tools or all those things that are out there. And so we automatically think like, oh, the IT department can help me figure that out, where they're more like making sure you're protected from, cyber attacks or, those kind of things too. So it's a really good point about that. So then if someone is thinking, I need to figure out the right solution, who should they go to then to help them determine what the right technology is for them?
So there's different ways to look at it. So there's the technology side, and then there's the implementation and what you do and how you use it. So I'm focused on more on the practical side. How do you use AI in a consultative selling kind of situation? There are people out there. It's not that I can't do it, but it's not my core. I'm not an AI integrator. I can go and say, hey, you need these 7 AI tools and they need to hook up. That's not really what I'm doing. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take sales leaders and new business development people and people that have existing accounts and teach them two things. One, and these are all in the programs that I've developed. One is how to be a really great consultative salesperson, not be what a show up and throw up salesperson is what I normally say, where they go up and, hey, look at all the cool things we do, because sorry, nobody cares. They care about, can you provide solutions to their problems? So using AI then with the consultative selling to speed up and make things more effective for you. So for instance, the sales leadership training program, it's 16 weeks, 90 minutes a week. And in each deck, there's, I think, between 4 and 6 prompts that they will go home that day, put them, use their numbers, and start to be doing things with AI. So I guess the short answer is talk to me, because I can help you get through that. And also if you're a small business owner, I think a lot of times people forget this, and this is why our businesses have done well, but a lot of consultants fail because they don't realize when you start a consulting business or any small business, you're the salesperson. And you need to learn those skills. And if I'm using AI and you're not, I'm going to have an edge on you, because I have things going on in the background right now while we're talking.
Right. So it's the implementation and figuring out how to properly use it that is where you're going to shine, basically, and where they can make sure that they're finding someone who really understands how to implement the technology properly. So it's not just identifying what to use, but how to properly use it.
Right. And if you look at, so where the genesis of this is, so I'm a fractional chief revenue officer is the core business, and I've been doing this for many years. So it was through doing that and helping over 50 clients doing that where I built all this. So this was really built in real time. And I got to this point with, wait a minute, this is actually an entire operating system right now. And then I productized it.
Perfect. Well, a lot of people are afraid that AI is going to, take jobs away or, do these things that are going to cause more harm than good. So how do you see AI supporting relationships rather than hurting them?
Yeah, this is probably the most common question I get. And there's different views, right? I think that in the last month or so, there's a little bit less of the doom and gloom. People are starting to warm up. I know the reality of the situation is Candy, you can't get away from it. AI is not leaving, right? It's not going anywhere. In fact, it's going to ramp up. So 2 things. 1, you get on the bus or you get run over. And I truly believe that's the case. So are there going to be jobs lost? Look, we can't hide this, right? Block laid off 40% of their staff a month ago. Oracle, Facebook, they're laying off people. That's happening. The thing is, though, is yes, some of these lower level type, like maybe like, I don't know, I hate to say lower level, like maybe like a paralegal or something like that, or the translation business. I think there's potentially some risk there, right, for that too. But what you realize, the more you use AI, especially if you start using agents, you realize that the supervision has to be there from a human. I use agents all the time, and they make lots and lots of mistakes. I've had some catastrophic, like it deleted my website once. It deleted my entire profile. I mean, like some really messed up things. I was doing an email campaign and it sent out 10 emails blank, right? So these things will happen. So I think that your best bet is to learn these tools and become the orchestrator. And I also think, well, yes, there will be some jobs that go, I think with the power of AI, and once you harness it and realize the force multiplier and leverage you can get out of it, I believe we're going to go into a period where there's going to be more entrepreneurs potentially ever starting up in our country within the next couple of years because of what you can do so fast.
Right, makes it more efficient. It's interesting too, where you were talking about the errors. I actually read an article recently, I believe it was in the CPA Practice Advisor, and there was a survey done by another company that found that 90% of the data that is in the accounting software is incorrect from AI, and then businesses are using this information that's incorrect to make, business decisions, and it's having a major impact on it. So it is important to have that oversight, right? And not just assume AI is going to do everything for you. And like you just said, yes, it's a tool and it can help you do things more efficiently, but you still need to have that oversight or there could be some major problems, right?
Right. So if you look at that, so let's look at software, for instance, right? So the software model will be there's an engineering manager, and there's all these software engineers. Of course, we all know that low-level coding is, for all intents and purposes, gone now.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that take? Now you have to have somebody that manages all these agents. So there are still things there to do. They're just changing. I mean,
Sure.
I'm probably not alone in saying that this is the biggest industrial revolution that we're ever going to see in our lives for sure, and maybe ever that happen. So in any type of situation like this, there's going to be a disruption period, and we're in the middle of that right now. I believe that continues for a while. There is also some dust clearing of like, oh, okay, wait, look at all these startups and look at all this different. So, but we're still early, right? We're not early in AI. It's not that it's new. It's just early that people like me and you can actually like, hey, I want to build an app, and you can just type in a one-line prompt and you have an app in a day. Like, how crazy is that, right? We're in wild times right now.
Well, it's like in the olden days when the computers first came out, right? It wasn't the everyday user that got to have it. And now everyone has a computer, right? So it's technology starts, and then over time, everyone gets to kind of adopt and start using it and learn how to use it properly.
Yes, absolutely. And it takes time. And a lot of times I hear from people, I don't have time to learn it. Well, you don't have time not to learn it. And the time that you put into it is going to save you. I can easily document and show you over the last year a full 8 hours of work that I've knocked off of my plate using AI.
Yeah, it definitely can be a tool to help. I think sometimes people feel completely overwhelmed with the options that are out there though too, and there's always new ones that are being talked about, or maybe you use this one to do this type of function and this one to do this type of function too. And so do you find that also in the sales, that there are all these different options and it could be a little bit overwhelming to pick which one is right? Or there's some you've identified that if you're going to do this for sales, like this is one that's really helpful for what you need to be doing?
Boy, that's a great question. And you know what the answer is it depends. It depends what the business is. Is it business to business? Is it business to consumer, right? Are you doing outbound? Are you relying on marketing for inbound? So there's all types of variability on how you're going to end up doing that. That's the thing that makes it interesting, because every business is different in the way it's going to be rolled out and what actually makes sense for the business. So what I no affiliation, of course, my personal go-to is Claude because it's extremely powerful and I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do. I started with GPT, a really heavily early user there for a year. That's all I used. And then I moved over to Gemini, and then I went to Claude. So I went through this transitory period. I'd recommend, look, if you're new to it, just pick one, right? It doesn't really matter. Pick one. If you have a lot of stuff on Google, definitely go with Gemini, because what's fantastic about Gemini is like my whole life is on Google Drive. So since it's native, you have the Google Workspace. So you can just go, hey, okay, I don't know if you ever did this, but you go to your Google Drive and you're like, gosh, I need to find that document. You think you remember the name and you spend 20 minutes looking. I can just ask, hey, Gemini, go into my Google Drive and find me that file. It's right there. How about this? YouTube video. I just had one this morning. Looked really cool. 60 minutes. Okay. You can take that, put it into Gemini and say, transcribe this and give me the top 5 takeaways. You just saved yourself an hour and like, oh God, I'm really glad I didn't watch that because it really didn't get what I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
So the way I use it, not to complicate it, but just basically still use ChatGPT for brainstorming a bit. I use Gemini for most of my mixed media type stuff, image generation and some of the video stuff. But Claude knows my business and me. You get to the point where the two things that are tough with AI, right, are having it to remember who you are and have it not getting stupid over a period of time. That might be a whole other discussion, but you can help control those things by making a document that helps AI know who you are and how you like to work.
Right. So we've been talking about, how AI can improve efficiency too and save you time. I would love for you maybe to touch on the communication between like the team, back and forth with each other, as well as maybe how that impacts the communication with the potential client as well, or maybe once they become a client and that follow-up, and how that can affect the performance of the company because they improve communication.
So I think that you can, there's some automation that you can use. There's two different situations, right? If you have an existing account that you've done business with, then the first question is there more business to be had? Does it just need like a customer service person, or is something wrong? Or are we going to truly take an account manager that's going to say, okay, we're doing this much. And then the VP of sales is going to say, but I want you to grow this account 20% next year. So you have to kind of look at what the role is and the expectations are. As far as communication, internally, people are using just typical things like Slack. I don't know if internally it does much. I think where it does, communication from the standpoint, you can use some automations to do things. For instance, like I've got some agents that do things for me on LinkedIn. So that's really good for like staying in front of your network and things like that. For clients, you can do it where you can have, but this is really more ties into, I guess, kind of like more of a marketing type of thing where you could do sequencing, touch points, newsletters, that kind of stuff. I'm still old school. I believe like big sales and complex sales, and people buy from humans they trust and like. And I like using automation. I still am really big on keeping as much of that human connection there, because I think that's what separates and keeps people like me and you with practices for the many years as us. This can't be replaced yet. I don't think ever, right? A robot's never going to be able to go out and have lunch with somebody and remember what their kids' names are and stuff like that. So it's almost like a what's old is new type of situation now.
So we've said a couple times in this conversation to AI agents, and there may be some people listening who really don't understand what that is and how they work. So can you give an overview of that as well?
Oh boy. All right. I'll keep it real basic and easy because it's the best way to do it. So picture chat, whichever one, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. Those are the ones you're going to use. There's Grok, there's Perplexity, there's all these other ones. Those are the three you're going to focus on. So hold on. I had a little glitch there. Sorry about that. Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. I was just saying that there are probably people listening who don't really know the difference between maybe just using chat and having an agent. So I'd love for you to maybe touch on what an agent really is.
Sure. Okay. So with the chat models, any of these large language models, picture it as ping pong. You ask a question, it comes back, it gives you an answer. I have chicken and vegetables. What can I make for dinner? Give me a 5-star recipe. You go back and forth. I'm going to a trip to France. I want you to tell me what the best time of year is. Back and forth, back and forth. What an agent does is it can actually do things for you. So a very simple example would be, and this is an agent that I have running on a regular basis, right? So just like I run my own business, so I have to prospect and meet new people. I like to meet new CEOs. Well, going out and maybe trying to connect with 50 CEOs a week on LinkedIn is kind of a pain. It's a lot of work. I'm looking for the right people. I'm clicking. Have to write a personalized email. So I built an agent that goes on LinkedIn for me. It does the research. It finds 10 or 20 CEOs that look like they'd be a good fit. It writes a little personalized email and it sends it for me. I do nothing. I give the agent the instruction of what I want done. I'll have it send me a couple drafts just to make sure that it looks right. And then I just let it go do its thing. I have another good agent thing is like daily updates, right? So a lot of people have a daily briefing agent. So they set this agent where you get up and you pour your coffee. And when you wake up, it went through your emails. It looked at your calendar. It looked at all your social media, and it'll give you a little dashboard of like, hey, here's the top 5 things you need to do today. Here's your meetings. Here's some information on some recent news on the company you're talking to, those type of things. So truly, we're at a stage now where these are, and Claude has termed it, coworkers, right? There is a thing called Claude Cowork. The first way I started using this, which is actually a really cool way to do it because people are scared, because once you go to Cowork, you're literally giving this large language model control of your computer. The first thing I did just to test it, and I said, okay, I want you to clean up my desktop because it was a mess. And I just sit there and watched it. And it was wild. I'll tell you, Candy, it's like you saw it creating folders and moving folders into other folders. And I'm just like, is this really happening? So anyway, that's what agents should do. And it can go crazy. There's people that have hundreds of agents doing different things, and people building full corporations with CEOs and CMOs and the whole. There are companies running now without humans, all with agents right now. So that's the next level. And it can be overwhelming and complex. But if you start with something and you want to just dip your toes, Claude Cowork is a good way to do that, because you speak to it in human language. Don't get tied up in, oh, there's this. Everything that I've done, even though I'm technical, I'm not a software guy. Everything I've done with AI, just ask the AI how to do it. I want to do this. I don't know. Okay, go to this website, do this. Take a screenshot. Give it a screenshot. When I was building my website, I don't know how to build a website. It took a long time, but I literally was screenshot. What do I do? Screenshot. What do I do? And I've yet to find anything where it couldn't step by step. And it's really interesting watching it because you can see it thinking by itself. Well, I tried to do this, but this didn't work. So let me try this. No, that's not working. And, but yeah, those are true workers.
Right. So as we have AI and agents and, doing a lot of the things, obviously sales professionals want to still stay relevant. So what skills do they need to develop now in order to stay valuable and competitive as AI continues to evolve?
So I think two things. For sure, consultative selling, I think, is just, I don't know what's happened over the years, but the percentage of people that actually go in, and it's kind of silly to me because I mean, that's when I started my business, is to help people. Right. So if you're going in and forcing and trying to, only thing that high pressure gets you is high pushback. And, it's uncomfortable. I truly believe that sales should be about helping people with their problems. Right. Don't you think so? I don't know where that's lost. So I think that's it. If you haven't had any consultative sales training, for sure, get that. And you have to figure out how to use AI. You're wasting time right now. You are absolutely wasting time. Salespeople and sales leaders on the reporting and figuring out the reports. And again, you can have AI do that. You can help with prospecting. You can help it with reporting. You can help with all types of efficiencies in different parts of the operation. I mean, there's 10 different sections within the organization that can be affected by AI. But start learning it. And, if you don't know where to learn, ask the AI, hey, I want to learn about X. And there's a million things on LinkedIn and all the social media sites, right? But just don't buy into the guys that say, hey, I'll book you 50 calls within 2 weeks or you pay nothing. Delete, block, because that's all scams. And most of them, if you look at it, they're actually even AI generated videos called headless videos, right? So it's really, I tried to do that. It looks kind of wonky still to me. Right. The lips just don't match up. Yeah. We'll learn. This is a time that, I don't know, if you're curious, it's a good time. If you're not, I think it's the overwhelm, really, Candy, that gets people. So just start small.
Sure.
Start small. Find a person on AI that you like, their vibe, the way they talk on YouTube, and just start learning. Take a little bit, take 15 minutes every day and learn something. I think the best way to really do it is just sign up for a couple AI newsletters. There's a ton of them out there. What I did is I signed up for 5. And then over the course of a couple months, I gutted 2. And then I'm down to 2. Every day, though, you'll get it. And there's like headlines. And you just from reading this, you'll start to literally, if you meet somebody at lunch, you'd be like, hey, did you hear that Claude did this today? I mean, you can really be like, because let's face it, how many conversations do you have today that don't involve AI in the discussion? I know in business, it's literally almost every discussion I have, it comes up in some facet.
Right. Well, for the listener then who hasn't really started using AI in their sales process yet, what is one practical first step that they can take this week?
Haven't used it in their sales process. Wow. Okay. So here's a good one. Take your existing sales process. Hopefully you have one documented and written and it's mimicked in your CRM. But if not, take your sales process, put it into your model and have it rate it from 1 to 10. Ask what the problems are and ask how you could make it a 10. Guarantee it's going to open your eyes to a couple of different things.
Yep. Well, there's so many different things you could be doing with AI to improve things and learn how to do things. And again, you've even talked about the agents, and I know people probably feel that could be a little confusing to even know how to program that. But I'm sure, like you said, you could even ask AI maybe to give you some tips maybe on how to start that process too, right?
You don't have to know how to program. That's the thing I want everybody to hear too. You don't, they've built these tools so you speak to it like a human. You just tell it, hey, I want to do this. Like, okay, so I wanted to do a flyer, right, for the suite of products. Claude has a tool called Claude Design, separate, super cool. And I'm like, hey, I want to here's my website. Here's some information, and I want to build a flyer for this. Came back in 10 minutes, there was a flyer. Was it perfect? No. But I built a really nice flyer within an hour And I don't know how much money that would have cost had I outsourced it or time and the whole thing. So just play around. You can't break anything, you know?
Sure. Well, that's a good idea too. Like for me, I would say like when I've had websites designed and things before, flyers created, like they'll give me a couple visual things to look at and then I can say, yes, I like this or no, I don't like that, which is really helpful for me. If someone just says, what do you want? Like, I'm not sure, it's hard for me to know what would be good, right? So I like to have those visual things. So that could be something even where the thing wasn't perfect for you, but at least gave you something where you could say, this is what I like or don't like. And you can have a professional finish it up, and create that final, draft for you or whatever that might look like, right? So,
Yeah. So if you have, so for instance, if we talk about Claude, and for you, I don't know which one you're using, but Claude's got a ton of really cool stuff for finance. They just released like a week ago. Yeah. But yeah, it can, I don't know, it can just go in all different ways. So I don't know. It's exciting.
Just to practice. That's what you're saying. At least try it out. See what you think, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least you can attempt it and then update
start with something
modify.
simple. Right. So the thing you'll find though is like, so you can have, for instance, like, but different things will do different ones. So for instance, say you want to do a PowerPoint thing. Well, ChatGPT can't do that right now. It could, but it's a coding thing. Gemini can do it, but it's going to give you a Google Slides, which is horrible. Claude can do it, but it's going to do it. It's going to be kind of flat. Then you need to do input. So it can be an iterative process. And this is where you find out. And the other thing I would say is look at your business and just ask the AI, hey, this is my business. This is what I'm going to try and do. What's the best model for this? And they're usually somewhat honest with that. And then with another thing to do, which is actually really interesting, is run it through multiple models and compare them. So I'll put it through Claude, really big decisions. I'll put it through Claude, Gemini, and GPT. Then I'll take and merge those all in. I'll just cut and paste into a Word document and say, okay, I want you to simulate all this and make this into the best it can be.
Nice.
Use AI to analyze its own work and do some quality assurance, like mine screwed up today.
Well, this has been informative. I know we're just scratching the surface of what we could talk about in terms of AI and how to implement it and everything too. But I know this was a great start to the process, but we are coming to the end of the time we have together. So I wanted to ask, do you have an offer that you would like to share with my listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So for your listeners, they can just reach out to me. And what I'm doing is offering to actually do a free AI sales analysis for them and take a look at where they are and where they're thinking about going. And, there may or may not be a fit for me to help them, but at least can go ahead and give them that overview and where they are and maybe give them some ideas for a path forward.
Perfect. So if they're interested in more information and they want to contact you, how do they reach you?
Sure. They can either email me directly, and that's just greg@gsquaredadvisors.com, or go to the AI Sales Leader, the AI Sales Leader.com, and look at the programs, and you could shoot me an email through there as well.
Perfect. Well, Greg, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing such valuable insight into how AI is changing the future of sales. And I especially appreciated your perspective on using it as a tool to improve strategy and efficiency and decision making too. Not just, put in a prompt and see what comes out, right? But really make it useful for the business. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And to the listener, thank you for tuning into the show today. I hope this conversation helped you better understand how AI can be used more intentionally in sales and gave you practical insight into how you can adapt and grow as technology continues to evolve. If this episode gave you value, be sure to share it with someone working in sales, leadership, or business growth. And if you'd like to hear additional content, you can find access in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guests and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.